Hello and welcome to this session this evening. I'm glad to see we've got so many new names on the call and some old friends as well. Let's kickstart right now. This session will be very, very quick. We're going to move through this. I want to finish within 60 minutes. So this session today is something that's very dear to my heart. In the next 60 minutes, I'm going to show you how to differentiate your brand and get search assignments by copying these 3 case studies. Now this is what I want to be focusing on. There's only 3 key ways for you to change the way your company is perceived and in turn differentiate your business. And it's really very simple. The first way is the way you send and communicate with the outside world, your outbound. So that could be your telephone calls, that could be your marketing, it could be your emails and so forth. The other is inbound. So the way you set yourself up to get inbound leads. And the third and the most powerful is the way third parties either refer you or send business your way. Now these are the only 3 ways to differentiate your agency. What you control outbound, you control inbound. But when you leverage third parties, the differentiation and in turn the fees skyrocket. And that's what we're going to focus on. So each case study is focused on one element of the framework. So moving back to our presentation. For those of you who've asked, at the end we're going to have Q&A, so hold on tight, we're going to have Q&A at the end. I will try and catch questions as we move through, but take a note of anything at the end and we're going to open up the mic and we'll work live on your business. So, very quickly, most of you know me. My name's Andy Whitehead. I help recruiters with growth challenges to create job flow candidates and expert status through direct marketing. We don't do any fluff. Some of you may have read my book already. It's been re-updated now and republished very shortly. But very quickly, this webinar today, this is only for you, because I know that this has been shared, the invitation has been shared on quite a large basis. It's only for you if you're any of the following: a recruitment agency owner, agency director, or an agency senior recruiter. So while you're on the call, if anyone's not that, I'll give you a few seconds to go, because this is specific just to owners, directors, senior recruiters. Okay, now specifically, if you're in any of these niches, any of these sectors, this next 60 minutes is going to be absolutely key to the way you drive your business. And I say that not as a statement of hype, as a statement of fact. Just today I've had another case study in from a client who bought a product a year ago. The product was a LinkedIn product. They got a £100,000 fee off it. It's now turned into another £500,000 worth of fees off that first product. So these sectors here are all the sectors where what I'm going to show you now, you can really leverage. So we've got information technology, engineering, oil, gas, healthcare, finance, banking, science, pharmacy, law, R&D. If any of these niches are yours, you have got an opportunity to stamp leadership on the marketplace and become that different agency, and in turn create direct search assignments. Now I absolutely guarantee this, 100% of clients who follow the exact steps, keyword exact steps for these case studies and repeat it, have got a search, and you can too. Let's very quickly, can you type in the box if you can hear me? 1 or 2 said they can't hear me. If you can hear me, Steve, Rick, Mark, Marcia, if you can hear me, can you just type in the box? Hey Liz. Wonderful. I think it's just 1 or 2 then. I think Matt might be your end. Wonderful. Thanks Don. Great stuff. Thanks Rick. Okay, very active box. Loving you guys already. So this is what we're going to focus on. If you apply this, you'll get results. Now I speak very quickly. I'm very passionate, so I want to ask your permission. I'm going to be direct. I'm not going to fluff around. I just want to be direct, and I'm going to maintain my passion for this topic and be as quick as possible. So with that said, if you want my notes, I'm going to be taking notes on my iPad. I'm also going to give you actual recordings from clients who've actually implemented this and got results. So at the end of this, if you want a recording of this session, if you want my slides, if you want the frameworks, stay to the end, and in the last minute when we take, the last 10 minutes to take Q&A, in that session just let me know and I'll get Emily to send you through everything on the call today, okay? So, Type in the box quickly. What's the hardest part about differentiating your brand in getting assignments? I want to know, I want to pitch this correctly. So tell me, type in the box, what's the hardest part about differentiating your brand, your agency, in getting assignments? What's the key challenge you're finding? Thanks, Mark. We undercut on fees. Thanks, Steve. Got it. Interruption versus permission marketing. Great. Organisations have had bad experience with other agencies. So you need to do an educational piece there. Positioning piece. Awesome. Showing indeed different than other recruiters. Trying to make the hiring manager believe that I'm different from other recruiters. Okay, you're in the right place. Big companies tend to aim for largest search firms. Okay, you're in the right place for this as well. There are many of us out there calling the same places. Yeah, so what we need to do is turn the table and make you the niche expert, and also have a key fundamental to the way you approach clients, and that's what we're going to go through. So my story is this. I'm the same as you. My background is I've been doing digital strategy now for 18, 19 years, but when I set up to go on my own and set up my own business, I was contacting clients one at a time. My clients had hundreds of options. I didn't know how to differentiate myself from the competition. I knew I was really good at what I did, but in the current marketplace, it's really difficult. And the key problem is that you might be able to relate to, I'd have a really good month and then a bad month. And in turn, that brought stress, overwhelm, and I must have spent, well, probably 6 figures on trainings that didn't work and so forth. In fact, we've got James on the call today. And James, I'm going to talk about you. James is indeed another person who's used one of our products and is on the call today. So James is actually going to talk about your case study. So I've had mentors who've helped me grow my business by 10,000%. But this is the key thing. What I discovered from my mentors, Rich Sheffer and Jay Abraham, and I spent $50,000 with them just in the last couple of years, what I learned was this. You do the opposite of everyone else. Key. Number 2, you become the leader in your niche. 3, you market to the masses, not one at a time. What do I mean by that? I mean, why pick up the phone and make one call when you can set up a system whereby you can speak to thousands and you only speak to those who are either ready to buy, they trust you, and they've raised their hand. You're not wasting your time. You speak to the 8, 9s and 10s. Number 4, you focus on an inbound, not outbound. You get better results by 12 to 1 in terms of conversions by focusing on inbound, not outbound. We're going to go through this. And this is key as well. Remove the overwhelm. Have one proven marketing channel and scale your business. Scale your business. So my results. In 2013, I trained 12,000 recruiters without one single sales call. On average, I create 300 to 500 leads per month, all online, all automated. I never make a call, I never chase a client, and I choose who I work with. We push away more than we accept. When I set up my own business, I want to enjoy myself as well as actually get paid handsomely. I want to enjoy myself. I get asked to speak at events globally, and I work the hours I want from my laptop around the world. So these are my results, and these are results of some of my clients as well. And I'm glad, James, you're on the call. We might unmute you and get you to speak to everyone. So my story was, those of you might know Mike Walmsley, Roy Ripper. Mike Walmsley runs recruitmenttraining.com. He asked me to speak at one of his private events to his mastermind. Very quickly after that, I went into the underground, working on client sites for agencies. And one of our first clients got 1,246 new clients and candidates registering for their very first event. And I'm going to show you what an event is in a minute. An event isn't a networking event, by the way. Word got out. Roy Ripper advised, could I create a global program, which is what we do now. In fact, we've got a number of clients on the call now. In my first recruiter training, I had 12,000 recruiters register in year 1. So I actually walked the walk on what I'm going to show you. I'm not one of these quote trainers, etc. And I'm not actually a trainer. I actually do this in my own business, and I do this with clients. So this is real life. The stuff that works and the stuff that doesn't work. I told you today before this call, I've just my mic is being bitten because we've got a puppy in the house, and my own fault for leaving it on the floor in the office, and I've come home and it's bitten. But what I do have is absolute education about the industry. I live and breathe this stuff, and my passion is to change lives of recruiters. And on the call, we've got a couple of you, and we've done that. We've changed your lives, your members already. So my question is If I can show you how you can also differentiate your business and make you the leader in your recruitment sector, would you follow the steps if I can lay them out simply? And I ask that because I don't want this to be a passive session. So for those of you type in the box and are active, I'm going to offer you something at the end completely free, but I want you to be two-way. I'm not sat here talking to a passive audience. I like to have interaction. So type in the box, are you willing to take action if I show you what to do and how to do it? And as I say, I'm going to actually give you real life case studies, and I'm going to give you real recordings of actual recruiters who've gone from 4 clients to 30 clients. I'm going to give you the actual recordings from these. This is real life stuff. So I'm actually putting this out here now in as transparent as I can. We've got James Kemper on the line. James actually said that my free training is better than most paid training. And I've actually used that quote, James, in this presentation. So what you're about to see is real. So with that said, let's get started and take notes, take action, and just remember at the end of it, for those of you who stay to the end, raise your hand and I've got something for you completely free. So first case study, $54,000 from the first 42-minute webinar. So this gentleman got $54,000 from a 42-minute webinar, his first webinar, and he wasn't happy with that. So this is what it's about. We've got problems in recruitment. There's problems for agency directors, and the problems are this. There's more competition nowadays. There's so many startups. We're getting undercut. We're getting our own staff leaving us and starting again, and it's really killing us. There's too many recruiters in the industry, and the reason why is because it's so profitable. In the UK alone, there's 64,000 recruiters. It's crazy. It's too many. So with that said, what can we do? And you can look at the metrics. So if you look at JobVite, they give us these. They spend hundreds of thousands doing this research. 94% of us are doing exactly the same things. We're doing exactly the same things. So we think writing a blog or sending out a LinkedIn message or having a slightly different script on the telephone is going to be different. It's not. You're all doing the same things. And that's the big elephant in the room. You think you're doing things differently, but to the client, to the candidate, we all look the same. So now this is decision time for you. Do we do the following? Do you stay old school and stuck? So old school and stuck is this. So I have 12, in the last year I've trained 12,000 recruiters, so I know exactly the pain points, what needs to be changed. And most recruiters who know they need to change something, you might relate to this, they know something needs to change, they've tried desperately, but they're stressed. They might write a blog hoping a client will see it, they do a bit of everything, but they get nowhere and they lose hope and they're lost in the dark. Can you relate to that? Now I don't want you to, I'm not going to mention any names, but can you relate to that? Awesome. Thanks for the transparency. And, and it's individuals like you who are going to get the results, as those who actually put the hand up. Now, the smart and growing ones do this. They focus on 3 core money-making activities, and it's as simple as this. Here's her name, an agency, known as the expert. So whatever your agency is, and you personally, you need to be the expert. The first thing. The second thing, you focus on inbound marketing only. You don't do cold sales calls. In fact, you don't do sales calls. You don't do that. The minute you pick up that phone, you're on the back foot. The dynamic is wrong. The third thing they do is they close a high proportion of leads. Why? Because they've been pre-positioned as a leader. You're on this webinar now. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me. Some of you know that Mike Walmsley, Roy Ripper, biggest names in the world in recruitment, have asked me to work with their clients. I'm pre-positioned. My clients on the call now in your niches, I've pre-positioned you. That's why you're closing more deals. That's why the case studies I'm going to go through now work, because we pre-position you as a leader and we give you a system. So this first gentleman here, absolute legend, Charles Moore. Charles Moore's a member of my Inner Circle group, and he's an absolute gent. I love Charles, and the reason why I love Charles is because you tell him what to do, he does it. He doesn't overthink it, he just does it. Charles is a legend. Now I'm going to play you just 3-4 minutes of what the results Charles got from a webinar. So this is Charles's first webinar. This is me and him talking on a training call or a coaching call not so long ago. But listen to what Charles had to say and how much he made of his very first webinar.
You know, the webinar is very different because the webinar is interactive. While you do have to create a storyboard, what's so good about doing a webinar is you're not alone. One of the things that if not for Andy, I would have done a webinar, but it would have been a useless webinar. It would have been one in which myself and somebody else on my team did all the presentation. But if you're the end user listening to the webinar, or the attendee, you got to think to yourself, yeah, I'm not sure if I believe these guys because there's no other speaker, nobody else validating anything.
Yep.
So I would have done it the wrong way. So the right way was that we created a webinar. This one in particular happened to be it was titled The 12 Steps of Recruiting A Players. And we got 3 speakers that, well-known speakers. One was a senior VP of a well-known company, and the other 2 one was a VP of talent acquisition for a company, and the third was an HR VP.
Yep.
The problem is that the speaker that we preferred the most, the top person, dropped off the day of the webinar.
But the strategy you use,
fault.
for those of you who don't understand this, I mean, we will have to move forward in this because of time, but what Charles did is we have a strategy whereby you attract, or you bring on board Mavens. Mavens are industry leaders in your niche, and you get these guys to really endorse subtly, indirectly endorse you and your branding. So you get that positioning by alignment. And what Charles did is he identified 3 top A players in his industry, brought them to his webinar. Unfortunately, one of them dropped out on the day of the webinar, so that obviously had a slight impact on the webinar. But as Charles and I were discussing before this call, there are ways that you can ensure that doesn't happen, and that comes from creating a win-win-win for all those attending with the webinar, both either the Maven, Charles's company, but also the attendee. So that's something Charles can improve on next time. The actual making sure the right people move up. But in terms of the webinar itself, Charles, just give us a very brief overview. How long did the webinar last? Who did you have on the webinar, and what results did you get from it?
Okay, we ended up with having over 100. Our max, because of our GoToWebinar, is 100, and we didn't want to do any more than that, to be honest with you, the first time out.
Yep.
So while we had more than 100 that registered for attendance, we had 64 that actually attended.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that is a good number, but we were happy that we had, for a first time out, that number, okay, that attended. I mean, we thought, first timer, that's not bad.
That's awesome. Yep.
The way we set the webinar was really important. we originally thought that the webinar would last for an entire. We tried to shoot for 30 minutes or under. It didn't. It turned out to be actually 43 minutes. Now, after going through webinars with Andy and attending other webinars, I've come to the conclusion that no matter if you try to schedule a webinar for 30 minutes or an hour, it will always go over.
True.
It's just the way it is. All right, so don't let that worry you, because that's just the nature of the beast. So we were smart about the webinar, because we started off with introducing the speakers, who they were going to be. Then we broke it off into the sections. So as we were presenting the content, the slides on the webinar, it wasn't just being presented by myself or one of my business partners. It was, part of that was being presented by the speakers themselves. We thought that was really important, so that the attendees didn't think it was, so it was more believable.
Yep.
Okay, what we're saying, so it was more believable. And the fact that these speakers we had successfully recruited for them. So they were proof positive. At the end of the webinar, so the webinar itself lasted about 22 minutes, and the rest of it, after the 22 minutes, took up to 43, was a Q&A. So, and the Q&A is extremely important, because that's where the real engagement comes in. The real engagement comes in because when people ask questions, you're writing notes. and your notes that you're writing, this is what's so interesting about the Q&A in a webinar. You can get a sense of what information to send that person who asked that question. So we quickly, as soon as the webinar was over, I quickly got on the phone with my business partners, and we realized, wow, wait a second, Joe here, we want to call him, but Jill, we want to send her this information based upon her questions. So we quickly realized that we didn't want to send a pre-packaged thank you for attending the webinar excuse me, email, right, that was the same for everybody. But like I said, we quickly learned that, boy, the great thing about the Q&A is we hear the concerns of some of the people asking the questions. We see the chat feedback, some of them are in the chat window. So we actually delivered 5 different pieces of content after the webinar, including follow-up calls.
Awesome. And you picked up a search from that webinar, the first one, didn't you, Charles?
Yes, we picked up a search from that.
And what was that search worth to you?
It was 54K actually.
54K. So let's just recap the results Charles has gone through here. What Charles has done.
Okay, so do you see how powerful that is? All Charles has done is gone through a 4-step process. So I'm now going to switch to my, bear with 1 second, I'm going to switch to my iPad. If you can see my iPad, can you just please type yes into the box? You should see 4-step 54,000 plan. If you can see that, just type yes, make sure we're good. Awesome. Thanks, John. Thanks, Mark. Love the feedback today, guys. Okay, so these are the 4 steps you need to go through. The first one, I'll just change pen. The first one is get clarity. So really, who are the clients we want? So for those of you who've worked with me before, you know that I'm absolutely focused on, I want to know specifically who are the top 50, 100 clients you want to do business with. So that could be 100 clients or so forth. So what we want to do is get these onto our webinar. So we need to get them onto a registration page. Much the same as you went to a registration page to come here today, we want to get them onto a registration page. I'm actually going to show you behind the scenes of my registration page now. When they register, we then want to get them actually to turn up to the webinar. And on the webinar, you're going to teach and you're going to sell. So what you're going to do, you're going to add massive value, but you're also going to position your agency. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Following the webinar, they go into a follow-up process. And there are 8 different processes you can use. But the one that Charles used is on the chat. Those who asked for more information, he sent them that information. Actually, on the chat for him that day, he actually turned one of them direct into a 54,000 fee. But this process consists of very simply 4 steps. Number 1, you get your potential clients and you get focused, laser focused on who they are. You invite them to the webinar. Now the key thing is your registration page. So consider this, if you've got 100 potential clients, when they come to this page here, if only 10 of them sign up, you've got a 10% conversion rate. Now if you can get this up to say 40%, your business has just grown by 40%. Now the industry average for the registration page here is about 20%, 20 or 30%. In my business, we aim to get between 40 and 60%. And we do the same for my clients. So James and all the new members, you've got that to come. So what you're doing there is, if the average is 10% in the industry, and we're getting 40 to 60%, you're getting 4 to 6 times more of your clients coming to your webinar. Then on the webinar, you're going to go through a process of teaching and selling. And I'll give you an insight into what that is in a minute. And then they go into a follow-up process. The follow-up process, by the way, so all of this, there isn't one cold sales call. You're giving them value. You're giving them value. And then at the end of the webinar, you can record the webinar and it's got more content you can use. But they go into a follow-up process. The follow-up process can be email driven. It can be, you can pick up the telephone. It can go into a survey. But all of this process is driven by metrics. And what Charles, in his very first webinar, we're going to come to his metrics in a minute, In his very first webinar, I picked up a $54,000 search. So what we're going to do with Charles next time is we're going to improve the number of clients who actually sign up. We're going to improve the numbers who register, and we're going to improve the actual webinar so it gets compound growth. Very, very powerful. So what do you need? What you need is this. First of all, can you see, just type in a box, does that make sense in terms of the webinar process? In terms of what we're doing? It's very simply just 4 steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And you've not made any sales calls there. What you're doing is going out with something of value to the marketplace. So this teach and sell, again, is value. So what we want you to do, number 1, this is your steps. Identify your clients. Number 2, create the webinar registration page. So all of you went to my registration page and you signed up. And say we typically get between 40 and 60% signing up, which is about 3 times more than the average across not just recruitment, across the world in all industries. Third, you teach and you sell. So we've got, there's a process you go through teaching and selling. What most recruiters do, they say, I'm going to hold a live event. And they hold a live event, and it turns into networking, they get no leads out of it. Or they do a webinar and they get no leads out of it. It's because they're not focused on the outcome. The outcome is you want a hot lead. You don't just want to give value, you actually want to position yourself, then you want to actually create that into a business prospect. And there is actually a strategy to that. We've got what we call a 9-box strategy. I haven't got time to go through that right now, but there's a 9-box strategy that fits into the teach and sell. And that is what creates your prospect into a hot lead. And then they go into follow up. But all of this, there isn't one outbound call, there isn't any chasing, they're chasing you. They're chasing you. And it completely changes the dynamic. Can you give me an example of the content of a proposed webinar? Please forgive me, you've already mentioned this and missed the start of the presentation. Great question. The webinar itself, the content is driven by your prospect. So what you need to do, you need to understand your client, the avatar of your client. So your client, so for those of you actually in a circle now, you know what we do is this. When you hold a webinar, you never, ever, ever just make it about your agency or make it about recruitment. You focus on what is the pain point of your avatar. What is the pain point of your avatar? And then you fix that with a solution. So you become the person who solves things. So you do that, and I'm going to come in case study 2. I'm going to show you how we created the content and how we had how a gentleman has gone from 4 clients to 30 clients by using this exact strategy and the content he used. So bear with me, Jack. I'll come to you and give you the actual content, how to create that. And if I don't answer it, by all means, raise your hand in the Q&A and I'll do my best. Is that okay, Jack? Cool. No worries. So those are the 4 steps. So you identify your clients. You've all got email databases. You've all got LinkedIn. Number 2, you create the webinar registration page. Number 3, you create the webinar. So that is the actual, you're on a webinar now. So there's a science behind what we're doing. And then the follow-up process. None of this includes the telephone. The telephone may be the follow-up to build that relationship, but you're not chasing. It changes the dynamic. So that is the 4-step process. Now, the metrics. This is where you can grow your business extremely quick. And this is why I'm excited for those who adopt this. And that's why I want those of you who raise your hand at the end, I'm going to be buzzing for you because I know what's going to come. In recruitment, we work on an ad hoc basis whereby we have lucky periods where we catch a client at the right time, where they're in a buying position or the budget's been approved, and then we have a bad couple of months. Can you all relate to that? You have a good month, you have a bad month. Good month, bad month. We dread Christmas. We dread summer. Now with this system, it's a system. So there are certain steps to it. So the first one is visitors. So those who come to the registration page. Those who actually register. Those who actually attend. Those who you get appointments from. Those you actually get the search. And those you actually get the fee. So if we look at a real life case study with Charles, first time around, visitors actually don't know his visitor metrics. But what he did say was that he had, I think, 104 registered. He had 63, I think, attend. Appointments, he had 5 in follow-up. and he got 1 and 1, which equated to 54k. So what are we going to do next time? We're going to get more visitors. How are we going to do that? We're going to send out more educational material. So not just emails saying we're doing a webinar, educational materials. We might send out messages on LinkedIn to our groups and so forth, but we're going to be more strategic with how we get visitors. So instead of going maybe to 200, we're going to go to 400 and double the amount. Secondly, registrations. We're going to try and double the amount of visitors, so we're going to get 208. But in fact, what we're going to do is, I'm not sure of his metrics, but if he got a 20% conversion rate, what we'll do with Charles is we're going to make that 20% 40%. So that becomes 208 already. And then if we double the visitors, we've got 416. So all we've got to do there is update our registration page, is change the title, change the content of the registration page. The attendance, how do we improve attendance? We improve the emails that go out. And the appointments, how do we improve the appointments? Because we improve the webinar. I say we've got a 9-box process we use, and that's where we teach and we sell, and that makes that 5 become a 10. So what happens is Charles's next webinar, he'll be looking to do 6 figures at least. And that's the process. In this process, there's no luck. All we need to do here, we send out more emails. We write a better email. We do more updates on LinkedIn. Registration, what do? We improve our landing page. So the page you went to, the landing page, that page, it's not by coincidence the language I've used on that. I've tested that page. In fact, if I show you, if I go into my account, show you exactly what we're dealing with. So I use lead pages, I recommend it. But I'll show you the actual metrics. So as you can see here, for this webinar you're on, we had 51% register. So there's 179 of you here. We had 51% register. Down here we had 68% register, 327 people for that webinar. So can you imagine if you've got 484 people coming to your page, only 10% sign up, you've got 48 people on your webinar. If you use my strategy, you've got 327 people on your webinar. That's how your business can grow very quickly. There's no luck, there's no guessing, there's no phone calls, there's no chasing. All you're going to do is make sure you follow the steps. And it's really, well, I say simple, I've been doing this 18 years now. But if you look at my registration page, there's a science to this. This isn't luck that is constructed this way. When you come to this page, how to is the most powerful header you ever get. Here we've got Andy Whitehead, RMI, TIRA, Ask the Experts, all right, for these different publications. So it's giving me positioning. Down here, social proof in 2014. I'm giving you some case study stats. Now I'm being empathizing with you if you're struggling to get your agency to stand out. And down here, adding a clock, a countdown, that adds about 30-40% to our attendees. And on the right hand side, it's all benefit driven. So it isn't by coincidence this page is structured how it is. I've tested this for years and years and years. So the good news is you can pick it up, show you what to do, you can copy and paste my strategy, it'll be a different set of text for you, get your business and grow. And that's why I'm so excited and passionate about that. So that's when you look at the metric side of things, your business can grow very, very quickly. You don't need to become the world's best salesman on the telephone. You just need to be someone who can follow steps, see if something works, doesn't work, test it, tweak it, update it. Now the webinar itself, it's broken down to 3 core components. There's an open, there's a close, and there's a 9-box teach and sell here. And it's this bit here, bringing the 3 of them together, that gave Charles 54k. As Charles said, he would have done a webinar anyway, but there's a science behind this. This isn't just luck. So if I log into one of our members areas, some of you on the call are actually already members of this, so you're going to recognise some of this, but I'll open up my workbook and I'll show you the content of the 9 boxes so you can see what I'm actually talking about. So if I log in quickly, if I come to our templates page, click on workbook, our webinar workbook. And what I'm going to show you is the 9 boxes. And this is how you structure your webinar. So there's no guesswork. It's follow the dots almost. Let's say, let's let it load. I actually live right out in the countryside at the moment, middle of nowhere. As I say, and I've got back this evening. I'm actually doing this from home this evening, so apologies for the slight latency. So this is one of our workbooks, and so there's our checklist. So when you do a webinar, there's a 27-point checklist. So your preparation, your promote, how you present it, how you handle it, the stick strategy. So stick strategy means how do you make people stay to the end. The stretch, so how do you actually create the content that makes them want to buy into your agency? What's the promise that you're giving on your webinar? How do you attract them to your agency? And what's the open? So the way I opened the webinar today wasn't by coincidence. There's a strategy behind it. But if I come down to, I'll just go past all of this. So this here, for example, this goes into the beliefs and what's the avatar of your decision maker, of your candidate. How you close a webinar. I want to come to the content. So this is the content. Here we go. So, it's not letting me turn it, but if you might be able to see that, this is the content. So the 9 boxes are this. You want number 1, pick a theme. So your content needs to be a theme relevant to the decision maker you're dealing with. You need to set the scene. So what's the problem that you're solving for this decision maker today? Number 3, you future pace them. So let them know about working with you in the future. We'll do ABC. You offer the content, you teach and sell. You teach and sell. You show proof. So you should have case studies for your industry. You make it personal. You push it back towards your decision maker. Then you get interaction. Then you give your decision maker a fork in the road. So you get them to make a decision. What you never ever want is, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is chasing on the telephone. And then you get just chasing. That does you no good. You want a yes or a no. So that's the 9 box. It's really that simple in terms of actually putting it together. So let me ask you a question. You've got a workbook there. You've seen the high-level steps. You've seen the results Charles got on his first webinar. What would you want to do from your first webinar? Have you got a database, an email database you can send them to? You can create a registration page very simply. You can create a webinar and go to webinar. So fill it out. What would you want to achieve from your first webinar? What amount of fees would you want? And don't be silly. Think about it realistically. If I pick up one new search, what's one new client worth to me? $10,000? If it's worth $10,000, I guarantee if you follow the process, you're going to get a client at some point. You follow it to the T, you're going to get it sooner or later. So what's one client worth to you? And if you do nothing else, leave this today and do your first webinar. It's not difficult, honestly. We live in an environment where we're scared of things we don't know. So please, pick up, do your first webinar. So that one technique alone would help turn your brand into the known and trusted brand. If you did one of those a week, one of those a month to your client database, how many recruiters do you know in your industry who do a webinar? I guarantee most of you are saying none, or maybe one's doing it very badly. That one technique alone would turn your brand into the known and trusted brand, wouldn't it? If you're looking for candidates, what do we want for candidates? We want a talent pipeline. We want to strengthen the ability to find talent. We want to develop a sourcing strategy. We want to create a stronger brand. A webinar is ideal for attracting the cream of candidates. If you need candidates, this is ideal, as much as it is for clients. So like the telephone became the common tool, webinars will too. At the minute, you have first movers advantage. So when are you going to do this? Please take an action to do this. So let me ask you a question. What is easier and more effective, your process of the telephone and chasing, or what I've just shown you? What you're doing here, you sat behind a laptop, there isn't any rejection. What you need to just be able to do is follow the steps and be methodical. That's it. So what's easier for you? Doing it your way or doing it that way? I spoke on stage at TechRec in London, which is the biggest conference last summer, biggest recruitment conference. And I went through a case study. If I was starting an agency tomorrow and I had one tool, one thing I could do, my sole business development tool would be a webinar. I do an authority webinar where I bring world-class speakers on board one week. The following week, I do a sales webinar promoting my company. That's all I do. And you can too. So with that said, let's continue. So would you agree then that I've kept my promise so far? You can differentiate your brand and you can get search assignments. I've shown you the first case study. In the next two, I'm going to zip through, but can you see? I've kept my promise there that you can differentiate your brand, and it's really simple. It's just that we haven't been educated to these things. So what I showed you is powerful and effective. And if you like, I can show you how to make it even more effective. Wait till the last few minutes. I said, those of you who raise your hand, I'm going to have something for you. It's nothing for sale, by the way. But we're just going to get started now. So I want to show you now two more case studies. I'm going to let the case study speak for itself, and then I'm going to focus on your business. So case study 2, moving from 4 to 31 clients by creating a leveraged business development model. So these are the problems I believe we've got now in recruitment, in agency recruitment. Response rates are down, and this is why. Emails sent per day, 191 billion, and it's just going to increase. And clients and candidates are not even getting your emails anymore, they're not even opening them. So emails are becoming tougher and tougher to actually become a BDM tool. Number 2, the telephone. In 2007, it took an average of 3.68 cold call attempts. Nowadays, it takes 8. So clients and candidates are becoming tougher to get hold of, and it's killing it kills your office dynamic as well. Nobody likes rejection, and your agency's put on a back foot straight away. And if you think just sending out the odd message on LinkedIn or social media, that's not going to work either. Boolean Black Belt here have said that 5% of accounts on LinkedIn are in fact recruiter accounts. It's getting tougher. It's getting worse. So you need a strategy whereby you're positioned as a leader and they come to you. And that's what we want to do. So if you think also writing a blog or making a video will get you to be noticed, think again. Look at this. It's going to be twice as tough to get a decision maker to read an email or see any form of content you're writing in the next couple of years. Twice as tough. It's crazy how things are moving. So you need a way that's going to turn your agency into an attraction magnet. So if you think by sending out your own content, your own emails, i.e. talking about yourself, or your own blog is going to do it, no, not the long term. The old school way of doing things is I'm going to send more emails, I'm going to write more blogs, I'm going to make more calls. Doing a bit of each will improve my business. It's not going to happen that way. The savvy recruiters are doing this. And this is how this case study doubled his business in 5 months. Others have doubled in between 5 and 12 months. So you focus on leadership and you use Mavens to get clients and candidates who approach you. A Maven is an industry leader. I'm going to show you the exact steps we go through. So this is what you need to do. And this isn't some sort of hype personal development chat, but think big. Most recruiters don't have any idea of the sort of people they can get on board. And I'm going to show you some, if I mention the name Barack Obama, will your ears prick up? I'm about to show you Barack Obama. They want to be number 1. They want to follow a proven plan which includes virtually no self-promotion. Again, no self-promotion. You're not talking about yourself. You're not ramming jobs down clients' candidates' throats. So this is a traditional way. You're shouting, you're sending emails, telephone. This is the way nowadays. Your brand goes viral, and it goes viral through other people. You do it with pull marketing. You add value and you act with integrity. It's a win for the candidate, it's a win for the client, it's a win for your co-partner. I'll show you who that is. And it's a win for you. Now, I just want to say this now. I don't want you to think, right, I'm going to double my business in 5 months. But I want to make it really clear. This case study, I'm going to let the director do the talking on this. And then I'm going to take you through the exact steps. In fact, I think what I'll do is go through the steps first and let him talk and let him tell you what he did. But I want to set expectations. This isn't the typical results. If you watch this and go, yeah, I'm going to double my business, then do nothing, you're not going to double your business. If you watch this and you apply it and you follow the letter to the T, then you could well double your business. But I want to make that really clear. This isn't some hype. You're going to double your business if you do this. But this guy did. So Alex, he doubled his business. He's a legend and he's a top guy. Why? Because again, he listens, he doesn't overthink it, he follows it, but also he's a good guy and he's good fun. So this is what he sent me an email. Hey, I built more in the first 5 months of this year than I did the entire of last year, so steps in the right direction. I'm looking at taking on a consultant and just finding the good one's a tricky bit. So he's billed more in the first 5 months than all of last year. And you can see he sent that 10th of July at 4:59 p.m. So this is what he did. I think what I'm going to do first of all is actually I'm going to take you through some of the steps. Take note of this. I'm going to go to Google. So what I'm trying to do here is taking a step back. You've got two options in your business. You can shout about yourself and say how wonderful your agency is, and you've been in business 19 years. No one really cares though. Or you can have the world leaders in your niche shout about your agency. So type in the box now. First name does it. I'll do it live. First name in the box. Tell me what niche you're in, what niche or sector you're in, and then we'll go and we'll walk through the steps for your niche and your sector. Okay, thanks Steve. You're in wireless. Sorry John, everyone else who's typed in. Wireless. This is all we're going to do. Remember, I'm looking to find the biggest names in the world to speak with me or to endorse my brand, because this is what's going to happen. In this niche we're going to look at now, wireless. If I'm in the wireless niche, like you are Steve, my decision maker is in the wireless niche. So who's he going to look up to? He's going to look up to certain authors, certain speakers and so forth. So we want those authors, those speakers to really be endorsing you and to get aligned with you. So all I'm going to do is go to Amazon and do a search for wireless, is it communications? So we get, it's not going to be children's books, is it? Oh. So wireless communications, Andrea Goldsmith. So what I do is I contact Andrea and I'd say, I'm holding this, it could be webinar, it could be, there's 8 different ways of doing what we call lead magnet. But I'd find Andrea, and in fact what I do is, in fact, we've got a template we use and we identify those with the most followers, the most readers, the most Twitter followers, the most LinkedIn connections, and there's a template we use. And then we identify basically those in the marketplace with the biggest reach. But I'm going to do the shortcut now. So we got Andrea Mollish, we got Andrea Goldsmith, we got Theodore Rappaport, cool name, and so forth. So I'd find the top 50 people in the world. Second thing I do, I go to wireless, I'm going to get bitten in the bum here, but I imagine there's something. Let's try convention, speakers. So this is IC, I don't know what it is, but it's, there you go, international conference. Okay, so what I do here is I try and find the key speakers who are speaking at this event. And I'd make sure that they're the same speakers who my decision makers, so in my niche, are interested about. They know who they are. So I could be a little agency, I bet my house on this. I can go into any niche in the world, give me 3 months with the right backup, follow my strategy. Within 3 months, you'll be positioned as a leader in the marketplace. And this is why. If I switch to my iPad very quickly, if you can imagine these speakers, there's you in the middle, and then you've got your decision makers. In fact, I'll change colour. So you're in the middle, and then your decision makers are the yellows. I think some of you might have seen that I've done this before. Those are your decision makers. What you're doing is trying to contact these, emails, telephones, so forth, writing a blog, not working. Outside here, you've got Mavens, speakers. Guess what? Your decision makers look up to them. So what we want to do is get these decision makers to now go back to your decision maker, sorry, get the Mavens, go back to your decision makers and say, hey, you need to listen to Steve. He knows stuff about wireless. So when you look at it this way, a Maven is going to have potentially, let's say, he's going to have Twitter followers, he's going to have readers of his book, he's going to have his own Facebook page, he may have his own membership, but essentially he's got massive leverage. And on average we say we want Mavens who've got 10 to 4, at the low end, 40,000 followers. But these can really go up to about 500,000. So you're looking for the big names in the marketplace. And then what you want to do is you want to bring them together into some form of event. Now, all you're going to do is then you manage the communication. So the Mavens, clients and candidates to see, the Mavens talk to the clients and candidates and say, hey, I'm doing this event with ABC Agency. And the clients and candidates start to set up. Now, the way you actually do this, you do it in a sequence. We call it a product launch. So you send out certain emails on certain days. But can you see what we're doing here? These Mavens in their database, they've got 100,000, for example. So they're going to email their 100,000. Now that 100,000 they're going to email are in the wireless niche. And guess what? Same niche as you. So by proxy, they're going to be emailing your clients and candidates saying, I'm doing this event with ABC Agency. Very, very powerful. Now what you need to do is make this a win, win, win. A win for you. You want to get leads in business. A win for the speaker. So what you do is you give them a platform. So the way you frame it is, you've got a platform whereby you can talk to 50,000 wireless people, wireless professionals, because they're also in the wireless industry. They've got a book they want to sell. They've got a white paper they've written. They're all their consultants. And it's a win for the attendees. And it's a win because they give awesome content. Now, I can see somebody's written in the box, how do you get speakers? You get speakers, you need to make it a win-win-win. If I just log into our members area again, the way you frame this, you need to, we've actually got an email template you can send out to the Mavens to get them to speak at your event. And so, in fact, let's have a quick look. Templates. Email template. So what we've got here is our template, copy and paste. So hi name, just finish reading your bio online. I'm really impressed by your approach to whatever your niche is. And then we've got a steps to go through. And that one email has been responsible for, well, probably millions of dollars by now. And it hasn't failed. Hasn't failed. Tried and tested. This comes from an actual case study from Gus. I'm going to take you through in a second. But what you want to do is frame it win-win-win. Simple as that. It needs to be a win for all. But then what you're going to do, you're adding massive value to the marketplace. You're giving them the opportunity to get in front and actually earn money themselves, the speakers, a platform, and you're going to get leads and you're going to get searches. You're now positioned as a leader. Now, when you do this across an actual structured process, you do it month after month after month, your business, combine that, for example, with the webinar strategy, see how it's metrics based. Can you see how now your business is no outbound cold calls? Your business is growing extremely quickly with the help of these leaders, without any telephone calls. It's done with, telephone calls, of course, without any sales calls, with webinars, adding value to the marketplace. You're differentiating your brand and you're getting searches. So powerful. So I can see we've got a lot of questions in the box. If you could just hold on for another 15 minutes, then what we're going to do is we're going to open up and you can, we're going to come back to that. So, thanks for that, Mark. So this is Alex. Alex, and this is there's some absolute gold in here, and so I want you to listen. This goes on for a little bit longer than Charles, but there's some absolute gold. Remember, this guy doubled his business in 5 months. Doubled it in 5 months. So don't start playing with Facebook. I can't stress this enough. Listen to what he's got to say. Take notes. He doubled his business in 5 months following this exact strategy. So here's Alex.
Clients that give you 1 job a year rather than 5 clients that give you 50 jobs a year, because I got burned quite badly in the Lehman crash. So that's always been, spread my risk. And this is a really, really good way to facilitate that. And, the amount of clients that, 1, have given us business, but 2 have actually said they'd give us their next exclusive job, and also people that just would like to work with us going forward, is now, it's a big number compared to what it was. It's really, really big. I'll probably say almost 30 clients now, whereas before it was literally 3 or 4. And that's, again, through live events and the webinars that we've done. So it's great.
Well, that's the thing, and just make a note of that, Al. So what we've got, in the inner circle, we've really got 8 real lead magnets. The first one you used was live event. We've got others who are using different strategies. So, what would you say? So, for example, remember we went through the process about the engagement, how you and I, work together. In terms of, for example, the template and how to approach speakers. What would you say has sort of been the key benefits of working with us in that way, and what have you sort of got from it?
I think the biggest thing, in terms of ongoing support has been great, because you can. Well, I think I did do to you. It was 3 days before I needed to get my banners made for the event, and I wasn't sure about the copy on the actual banner, so I sent it to you, and you looked at it at sort of 6:15 on Friday night and gave me all your feedback, which was fantastic, because I needed to say yes to the designer or no, and this is what you need to change it to. So that's really helpful. Ongoing support in terms of, like you say, different templates that we initiated to use on people. But I think as well, actually, the biggest thing for me is that genuine belief and support and guidance to saying, trust me, if you use our techniques, you can get the thought leader around that regulation to speak at your event, which, in December, while I was thinking about making the phone call to you, that was what I was just, there's no way I'd be able to attract someone like that to, my little event with, who would care about it. And that was probably the biggest thing for me, and the strategy you can put in place for ensuring that is actually quite an easy process. That was massive for me, and I still am a little bit surprised at how easy that was.
Yeah, the key thing, everything we want to do is win-win-win, isn't it? I remember when we spoke, everything we want to do with you in the inner circle is ethical, but it's win for you, win for the client, but win for the speaker as well in this case. And that's the key thing. So in terms of your metrics now, let's look at, so you mentioned before, you've got now 30 odd potential clients, 2 or 3 before. Let's go through what you were doing before in the dark days before we met last year. Give me an idea about sort of what's happening in terms of your metrics. So, I don't know, in terms of maybe sales calls you were making a month or per week compared to now, and so forth. Give me an idea, just so we can see the actual where you are now, to make it really clear where you were.
I think just before I'd spoken to you was sort of the last point I was at. So I just said I'm going to spend a month, I'll speak to every client of mine, and that is sort of the last effort I'll make to sort of try and work out what to do with this. So that's about 330 clients, and I don't think, we might have got one job from it. So a lot of calls, and that was pretty ruthless, and I wouldn't ever say it. I don't think it might have been 250 at that stage, but it was pretty relentless. So that wasn't normal though, and that was part of the problem I was having, that because I just didn't believe that was the right way to do it, I didn't actually have any self-belief in making those phone calls that the people I was calling would be interested to what I had to say, and I knew the market was a bit quiet. So I didn't have the belief in what I was actually doing anyway, and the upshot of that was I was not really doing it. Certainly not doing it to maybe what I should have been doing it, but I just didn't have that belief it was going to be working. Yeah. And I think, when I did the event, I made sort of 330 in a month, which was more than I'd ever made, because I wasn't pitching it, have you got a job? I was pitching a great event that I was putting on, so I was more passionate about doing it, and equally I wanted to get more people through the front door. So, just in that first month, I'd already called way more people than I ever had in a month. Way more. Probably double, I'd say. It was most amount of sales calls I think I've ever done. But again, it didn't feel like sales calls because you were pitching an event. And that now is all we do. We pitch events to clients, and I never even mention the word recruitment until I'm, after the event has happened and I'm face to face with them having a coffee, and then we turn it into, recruitment, and when and then it's recruiting, and would they use us on an exclusive basis. So to try and put some sort of actual quantifiable metrics on it, I think to compare now to before, it sort of isn't fair, because what we were doing before had such less value, and we were doing less of it, that they just weren't getting anywhere near the results, and it was just so less. Which wasn't enjoyable. That's the biggest thing for me. Whereas now, pitching an event, it's strategy. We've got when we're doing it. We know how many calls we're going to be making and when we're going to be doing it, and it's good fun. It's enjoyable, and even if people can't come or don't want to come because it might not be relevant to them, the feedback's always fantastic. Let me know what you're doing when you're doing the next one. If you ever do an event around X, Y, and Z, please do let me know. So it's just a completely different relationship that we now have, and much more enjoyable. It's great.
That's the key thing you hit on now. One of the big things we're huge on is, the inner circles metrics, isn't it? So, give an example before. This is what Alex might be doing. Alex started doing webinars, and it's typical Alex fashion. The first one went wrong, didn't it, Al? But still did it. So still move forward, and what he's doing is still doing more than the rest of the industry or not. So, this is where you want Al to be. And the exact metrics I can't remember, but do put me if I'm way off. But your first event. Your first lead magnet, it may have been, calls or invites? Do that again. There we go.
330-ish.
Yeah, so we've got 330, and we had attendees, 60 odd, was it? 60, 70?
Yeah, sort of 50, 55, I think.
Okay, 55. And then of that, if you track down now to where you are now, and you got 30 odd clients you mentioned before.
Yeah, so I reckon we've now got 30 clients that either have worked with us, have given us exclusive work, or have said they want to work with us and will give us their next job exclusively.
Yeah, you compare that to where you were before, and you track these down. It's a different proposition altogether, isn't it? But the key thing that those who are listening to this is what Al's done is, he's mentioned he's undersold himself here in terms of what he's actually done, and the steps you've gone through, Al, were you've created a lead magnet event. So an event can be anything. There's 8 different events. Then what you've done is you've identified we call them dream clients, don't we? Our dream 50. So the dream clients we want to do business with, that's what we call them in the inner circle. So what we've done, we've got these to attend our lead magnet. And after the lead magnet, we've got a follow-up process. But what Al's not really sold himself too well is what he did at this part, the lead magnet part, extremely well, was positioned himself very, very well. And what Al did afterwards, which we've are a massive advocate of, is he starts to set up his online authority status. And he's done that with, he mentioned the YouTube channel, and the way I showed you to do it, it cost $5 to get it set up, didn't it? Did you go through the yep, so rather than spend thousands, it cost him $5 to set up the channel. Yeah, so to set up the channel that we did. So he's got a professionally designed channel, it's cost $5. But what he's now got an online strategy, which is now starting to take place. But we're only, Al, 6 months into this now, 6-7 months? It's, when you take this forward and you scale your metrics up, where do you think your business, in fact, Al, take us through your business now, as to where your business was 6 months ago in terms of just your hours, and then where you are now with your staff and so forth. 6 months ago.
So that's completely different. So 6 months ago it was just little old me. I was working, fairly brutal hours, but not necessarily particularly smart, just, trying to scrap at anything. Fast forward 6 months, we've got a sort of a social media manager who does all the YouTube channel, she does the Twitter account for me, she does the business Twitter account, she does the Facebook stuff, she does the LinkedIn group, she does my LinkedIn, so I don't have to do any of that anymore, which was taking me probably an hour a day. So that's fantastic. And we have a consultant now as well, who is fairly new, but finding his feet. And he's working on a desk which complements mine very well. And part of the reason for that is because he can do events with me. So it'll be exactly the same events, but we can make them potentially twice as big. And just sort of hit a different part of the market. In terms of the hours, much better. I go to the gym most lunchtimes, which I never even would have thought of doing because it just wasn't even an option. Whereas now it's a really important part of my day. So personally and professionally, it's just a completely different ballgame, which is great.
Awesome, Al. So basically, you got a 6-pack now, have you?
Sorry?
You got a 6-pack now, have you?
Well, yeah, seeing as I've got the camera, I'll say yes.
Well, for those of you who can't see, I'm actually not next to her, obviously, but we did speak earlier today. Al's actually got flip-flops on today. Do you want to explain why, Al?
Well, see, Al's doubled his business, but this is what he's done. He's done it in a different way. But what he's done, he's found those in his niche who have leverage. The results, he just said, he doubled his business. But what he did, he got top speakers in his niche. Top speakers in his niche. Now imagine this, if you've got top speakers with 50,000 followers each speaker sends 4 messages endorsing your brand, shouting about your lead magnet, that's 4 lots of 50,000 times by 4 messages, that's 800,000 messages going out across social media, being shared about your brand. Now compare that to your strategy. Now Al did that in a small way to start with. He did it actually very local in Square Mile in London. But that's the process he went through. And that's what I want you to start thinking about your business. Leverage. Why are you going to write one blog and send it out to 10,000 people yourself and get 10% of people opening it when you can have close to 1 million messages go out endorsing your brand? See, Gus followed his process, and first of all he couldn't get the speakers, but then he got this email back and he said, I followed your instructions and I got the speaker. Did 115,000 off his first 2 meetings because he was pre-positioned as a leader. Now this is also awesome. If you've got an email database or a set of clients or candidates you're not emailing a long time or giving any value to, what you can do is this. This is Belinda, she's a legend. She got on board Barack Obama's social media person to speak at her event, Camilla Cook. Pretty impressive, huh? So can you imagine if you had the equivalent in your business? I'm not sure what your niche is, and we can come to that in the Q&A, but can you imagine if you got the equivalent? And as I say, we've got a template you can use. But all you need to do, if you go and send the email now, just make it a win-win-win. Simple as that. So Belinda, legend. So when you bring this together, these are some of the benefits you can have. Now compare this to what you're doing with the telephone, with blogs, sending newsletters and no one reads. When you follow this approach, relationship building, you can gain access to relevant clients and talent through adding value on the webinar and the recording, which can be sent to your contacts, linked to networks. It beats the newsletter. Client and candidate referrals, you can increase high quality, low cost hires through webinar follow-up. You hold the webinar with the content that your candidates want, they come to your event. You're now attracting them. Candidate and client experience, you improve and increase quality and improve client and candidate experience. But how many recruiters do you know who are doing this or giving this to their databases, to the candidate databases, giving value? Promoting job openings, you attract quality talent by promoting job openings in an interactive manner on the webinar. No emails, no calls, no chasing. On the webinar. Candidate relationship. You build and engage a talent pool for your company with the most interactive tool in the marketplace. And imagine kicking off a client relationship in this manner. No one in your niche is doing this. You can dominate your niche. When you bring the 3 case studies together, we're about to go into the 3rd, you're golden. So now that you know this, when are you actually going to start to use this? I don't want this to be passive, as I said. I want you to come away and take action. So case study 3, I'm going to plough through this very quickly. 43,000 from one inbound position strategy, and he's actually on the call. So this is the problem we've got. Too many options for clients. Field of dreams, film. They say build it and they will come. That's not true. If you put a blog update on your website, do you suddenly get clients? No, you don't. These are the stats. 96% use LinkedIn to search for candidates. 96%. So we need to do things differently because every recruiter does the same. Now this is from the savage truth. Most recruiters focus on the candidates, that's in blue, who are active. And they ignore those who are not active. And more importantly, for this call now, agency recruiters, we focus on the jobs that we know about. What we don't do is actually find a way of actually getting the jobs we don't know about. And you do that by actually getting those relationships built. And that's where you get client commitment from, by building that relationship. So ultimately, competition in agency recruitment is in an all-time high and it's getting tougher. So let me ask you a question. What is your pond? What is the niche you're going to dominate? When you leave this call, what niche are you going to go away and you're going to dominate? You need to make that decision. So this is what I want you to think about. If I switch to my iPad, James did this, and so we've got James on the call, and I think James is going to be an absolute legend and a top member of our inner circle. Most recruiters are out there running like hairless chickens, trying to find a way of trying to hit different industries sometimes, definitely different channels, different roles and so forth. I want you to look at your business tonight when you leave this, and look at how it's structured. The base of your business, you should be in one primary industry. You should know what are the top 3 or 4 channels that your industry, that you're going to dominate in that industry. So it could be your industry is finance. What are the channels? It could be, in fact, I'll scrape that. I'll call it BPO, Business Process Outsourcing, because this is relevant to a new client today. So sales, HRD, R&D. In fact, on that call, it's just 3. But what are the 3 channels that in that industry you want to dominate? Then in those channels, what are the top 3 or 4, 2 or 3, maybe 4 roles that you want to be known as the absolute leader of? So I speak to so many recruiters. What industry? I'm in IT. What do you do? IT sales. Awesome. Do you not think there's another 1,000 doing that in London alone? So what roles are you going to dominate? What do you want to be known as? When you know the industry, the channels, then the roles, then do you know what you're going to find? You've got lots of low-hanging fruit, because everyone wants a leader. You're on this webinar now, not because you want to know about how to close a call on the telephone. I'm not your man for that. If you want to grow your business using digital strategy, double your business in the next 12 months, I'm your man. But I don't profess to be anyone who can do what Mike Walmsley or Roy Ripper does, or Greg Savage. That's not my case. But what I do, I've been told there's no one else in the world can do what I do the way I do. I know exactly who my ideal client is. I know exactly who I want to work with. Now, who is yours? What do you want to be known as? You can't be jack of all trades. So what does your pyramid look like? What is your industry? What are your channels? And what are the roles you're going to dominate? It's easier to dominate a set of primary channels and primary roles in an industry than it is to try and dominate 50. So the webinar strategy I've given you, the Maven strategy. If you say I'm in IT sales, are you going to find Mavens in IT sales and try and do a webinar for IT sales? No, you need to be more specific. So take this pyramid, build your own pyramid, and find out what you're going to dominate. And when you do that and you apply the strategies in case study 1 and 2, you're absolutely golden. Now what James did, James used, and this isn't about buying my LinkedIn product, it's not, in fact it's actually not even for sale anymore. But James took our LinkedIn product, and I focus on niche and Dream 50 and what your position is, and he took it. And the reason why I've mentioned him is because James has only been in contact with me, and in fact we were due to have a call yesterday, James, weren't we? We're speaking on Monday now. So it's relevant. Everything I do, all the case studies I've mentioned today, these are bang up to date. These are now the last 4 weeks. So this is what James did. He identified his niche, he identified his roles, and he followed the proven inbound process. And there is the man himself. So if you've got a little voice inside of you saying this doesn't work or I can't dominate a niche, know that James had the same voice. And don't worry, James, I've wiped out most of it. But this is what James has said. The good news is twofold. I signed up for LinkedIn recruitment training, which still haven't finished its detailed process. That which I did complete and implement showed immediate results. It was taking a while to get contracts signed, and until there's a link, there's no deal. The thing is, I received 2 contract based on my LinkedIn profile, and they contacted me. I didn't initiate conversation. The first webinar, they contacted me. One is for a retained search, where I only landed help and advice. The second is a standard contingent contract. The first webinar I attended, Andy made the claim of some mystery student that started working the tips and immediately got a contract. We've all heard that line before, but I can honestly say that in my case it worked. The third part of the news also goes into plan regarding finding Mavens and doing webinars. I began producing content and I've been doing an 8-part series which is soon finished. This has led to a trade organisation here, the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, to discuss me doing webinars for their chapter. This is why, James, I am certain it's going to be a legend. I've gone through other training and other experts, but none produced results as quickly and effectively as Andy's freebies and entry training. So why have I shown you that? It isn't to impress you, it's to impress upon you. What I've just shown you is free. But you can take this away and pull in big money just by applying this. Now, this is what James had going for his head, and this is why I've made this in green, because I want you to get that voice out of your head. James was sceptical, as you said. It sounds like a big claim. A guy making 100,000 off a LinkedIn strategy. In fact, I'm going to show you that person in a minute. But he applied what I showed. He got 2 contracts, and now he's asked to speak at a trade organisation. So what's he doing? He's starting to become a Maven. Watch James. James is going to be a big name. So that one inbound strategy, please find the agreement attached. So he's agreed to, he's joined our program. When can I expect the strategy call? The retained search is worth 25k and 18k. So one inbound strategy is worth 43,000. 43,000 from one. So what did he actually do? What he did, he positioned himself. So going back to our pyramid, the industry, the channels, the roles, he positioned himself, and then they contacted him on LinkedIn. So if you think, I've been on LinkedIn 10 years, you're talking rubbish, it's because you're not using it correctly. You've followed a LinkedIn training that tells you that you need to have a profile of a nice picture. That's garbage. People buy from leaders, people buy from experts, and that's everything we want you to be. 43 grand for just make sure his profile is right. And this is the person, in fact, that I mentioned on that webinar, and James said that he was sceptical. Edwin Glass from Executives Online. He works in Holland, you can go and check him out. 100,000 euros of fees directly stemming from applying the LinkedIn recruitment blueprint strategies. So he'd been on LinkedIn for, I think he said, I can't remember what it was, 4, 5, 6 years. Never had one inbound lead. Use my strategy straight away. And this isn't a sales ploy, there's nothing to sell on this webinar. You can't even buy my training anymore on LinkedIn. But I'm showing it to show you all you need to do is position yourself as an expert. You will get the leads. So now I'm going to zip into study 4, and we're going to do this in 5 minutes. So this is called the CCCE. What is that? This is going to be a real quick one. CCCE stands for Content, Content, Content Engagement. Going back to our friend Charles. Charles picked up a 72,000 search by sending 4 emails. Now again, that sounds like hyperbole. I think by now you've proven that I'm not a shyster in any way. I've got the social proof, I've got the case studies and da-da-da. But I want you to get this really pinpoint. This stuff works. So follow this, CCCE, hear what Charles has to say, and I'm going to draw it on the iPad afterwards.
Picked up the CCCE approach. So what most recruiters do is send out a sales email, so either pitching candidates or are you looking for a new role, etc. The same dry, follow the herd mentality. Whereas what Charles has done is adopted an approach whereby you give good value, but you're not just giving away a newsletter or a set of metrics on the industry and so forth. There's a strategy behind it. And what you're looking to do with content engagement is you're looking to add massive value, but then also get them to look forward to your next email. And the engagement piece is where you actually get the prospect to respond to you. So there's 2 things you've done, Charles. One is you've picked up a search purely by email, which we want to see the result from now. The next thing you did was you picked a result for your webinar. So if we focus on just the email approach now, what was the search you picked up from that CCCE? When you followed it for the first time, what was the search you picked up and what was its value?
We picked up a VP search.
VP search.
With initially started off at a value of about 70,000 fee. Ended up being a net of 72.4.
Awesome. So 72.4 from sending out 1, 2, 3, 4 emails, and also what I think you've got obviously a very good understanding now. And like everything we do, Charles, first thing you want to do is get a process that works, then you want to scale it up. But from what you've done there is you can sense it's your mindset change, isn't it? It's the mindset change. It's just doing what every other recruiter does, which is newsletters or pitching a candidate, and actually creating it into a sequence. And that's how you start to pick up the fees. And so the next thing I know you're looking to do later on is to automate this process as well. So this entire process is automated in the background.
Correct. The key, I think the real big key when you're thinking about content, and you're thinking about, content within those emails, that webinar, the real key is not just to give the same old hub I'm an executive recruiter, I'll find you a great candidate, blah, blah, blah. You really have to do a differentiator. We have several differentiators that make us stand out. Oh, absolutely. Look, I would never have figured out how to increase my business and how to go from the economy's rough, I hate this, to a positive. I'm just totally positive now. Andy has shown me strategies and things that I never thought about. He comes at it from an angle. Look, I've been seeing a lot of the top trainers and a lot of the top marketing people, that there are out there. So, recruitment wise, but Andy's approach in the inner circle, you learn so much, and he doesn't just talk about it. He gives you examples. He shows you exactly what to do. You're allowed to ask questions, and he wants you to be successful. Most of the other, type of training out there is a one-way street. They show it to you, and then, it's on to try to sell you their next batch of CDs or DVDs or whatever, or go to their city for some 3-day training nonsense. But what Andy does is he wants you to be successful. So you learn a lot from the Inner Circle webinars. Andy engages with you directly. So if you have a certain issue that you're not sure you want to bring up, he sets it up to, where you got a one-on-one call. So you can't go wrong.
So I think you can see now that even that example, CCCE, and what I'm going to do is take you through what it is now, but I think you can see that you're watching someone who walks the walk in his own business and his clients. You can do this. You can do this. So CCCE, what is it? Number one, I'm just going to go back to my iPad. Number one, the first email you send is content. It's content number one. And what you want to do in that is offer massive value. And it's not you writing about yourself, by the way. Number two, content piece two. This is where you want a third party. So one of your Mavens to give you content. Now this is key. Content piece number three is what we call an SPER. Now remember, this process got Charles a 72,000 search from sending 4 emails. Now imagine if you've got a database of 10,000 and you scale this up. Will it work for everyone? Of course it won't. But will it work for a handful? May well do. It did, and it does. SPR, what does it mean? Short, personal, expecting a response. No recruiter sends out an SPR email. They're all rammed down your throat. We got a job, boring newsletter, HTML. That isn't personal. You've sent that out to 10,000 people. I want something personal. So you do content, SPR, then you engage. That process got Charles 72,000 from sending out 4 emails. So you can do this. But what you should be doing now, your brain should be going, damn, there is hope. I'm doing things the wrong way. And that's what your brain should, hopefully, is now starting to do. And that's the point of that. So my job is twofold here now, is to give you market tested strategies that less than 1% of recruiters even know about. But my family, as I call it, we use it. And we grow with less time behind the computer, less time on the phone. But this is what you need to do. You need to, number one, you need to get an action. Number two, you need to get results. Number three, you need to get clients. And number four, start enjoying it again. When you do that, my business grows. So I think any person can see how this, some minor tweaks, all of you have you got an email database, yes or no? Have you got a candidate database, yes or no? Have you got a LinkedIn network, yes or no? Have you got Google? You can do this then. There's nothing here which is not being done before. We've got these workbooks and these templates. So I've sweated blood and tears in this, doing this 18 years. So with some minor tweaks in your business, you can add 6 figures. You can go from beginner to expert recruiter. But one of the key things I've shown you, and hopefully if you take nothing else away, is you leverage other people. No one wants to hear you talk about your own agency. No one wants to hear you send out a blog, your views on the marketplace, unless you are an absolute genius and you've got the time to spend writing an awesome piece of content. Leverage other people. make it a win-win-win. So this is what your option is now. You can move from being one of many on the left, or you can be the only one in the market doing this. On the left, you can just focus on working in a local market, or on the right, you can have a national and international profile. On the left, you can keep making one-to-one calls, or you can adopt strategies that work hugely and speak to hundreds, thousands at a time. You can chase and harass on the left, or you can set time for attendees. So imagine if you had a webinar like tonight, and that's when your decision makers have been invited to turn up. You're not chasing them. They're making the time in their day to come. Or you can chase all, or you can do a webinar like this, but only speak to 8, 9s and 10s. Or what you can do is you can have make 42 telephone calls or send out emails, which is pretty much one-way conversation. Or you can use one of the 8 strategies and get engagement. Or you can have your ad hoc life, which is stressful, because I was where you are. Good months, bad months, good months, worry about Christmas, it's summer, everyone's away, damn. Or you can have a repeatable system. I've shown you the metrics and how they work. So my question is this, and ask yourself this, it's difficult to actually accept, do you know what, I might be missing a trick here. Is there anything I've shown you there difficult? Is Charles or Alex a Superman? They are supermen because they implement, but what I've shown you, doesn't it make perfect sense, what I've shown you? It makes absolute sense, so let me know. So if you can see the sense now, which I know you can, when are you going to start to actually implement this? Because that's the only way you can actually get a change in your business. So let me ask you this. Let's go into your Q&A now. What I want you to do is write on a piece of paper next to you. What is one client worth to you? So some of my clients, one client's worth £700, which is about just over $1,000. Other clients of ours, one client to them, so one role could be worth 120 grand worth of fees. So what's one client worth to you? I want you to think about that, and we're going to go into Q&A now. Now I want you to write down, what was your income last month? So on a piece of paper next to you, what was your income last month? So if it was 5, you write down 5 grand, you write down 5. If it's 10, it was 10. Now what I want you to do is answer this. What do you want your income to be? So in thousands. So if it's 10,000, it's 10. Then type in the box, and I won't call out names, but what I want to know is this. Number 1, what is one client worth to you? Number 2, what was your income last month? Then number 3, what do you want it to be? And then we can look at the strategy, and I'm not going to call out names, I'm going to be completely respectful, but it's going to be an indication of how to frame the Q&A. Okay, so those of you who've written singular figures in the box, thank you for the feedback. But what I need is 3 figures. What's one client worth to you? What was your income last month? And what do you want it to be? Okay, so I'm not going to call out any names. 50, 50k, 20k, 50k. 10k, 20k, 50k. 3,000, 20,000, 50,000. A lot of singulars. 50, 20, 60. 10, 20, 40. Still a lot of singulars coming in. Okay, so what I want you to do is look at this. You've got a real simple task here. It's really, really simple. One client to you is worth X. You're currently earning X per month. You want to earn X per month. So how many new clients do you need? When you break it down, all you probably need is between 1 and 10 clients. Most of you probably need between 1 and 3 clients. So what I've just shown you will get you, if you implement, the 1, 3, 5, 10, well Alex went from 4 to 30 clients in a matter of months. And he's also, Alex will be the first to admit, he's the biggest, he messes things up all the time, but he just keeps moving forward, 10k, 40k, 100k. 25, 10, 100, 50, 20, 50, 3,000, 20, 50. So basically you've got a gap 25, 10, 100. So basically it's all you need to do when you break down your business. It's not difficult. How many new clients? Now you know that. How many new clients do you need to get? Type in the box, one single figure. How many new clients do you need to get? Because then we're going to reverse engineer the steps. 1, 1, 2, 10, 1, 4, 3, 10. James, I'm not sure, 50. 10, 2, 3, 4, 2, 10, 3. We're talking low figures here. So you haven't got a big task. So all you need to do is get enough leads into the funnel and be pre-positioned as a leader. What you've done before, probably, is you've been chasing your tail. So you haven't got a big task. All you need is a set of steps. So the income gap you've got, that's your target. That's your target. Now, 48 hours from now, you're going to forget everything we've gone through. It's going to be gone. But let me ask you a question. Have you enjoyed seeing, no BS, real people getting real results? Number one, it's good to see the steps. But number two, isn't it inspiring to see people like you and me actually getting results? Those make you think, do you know what, I can do this. We're not dealing with rocket science here. This, all it is simple steps. So if you enjoyed the time today, which I think you have, all you need to do is bridge that gap. All you need to do is that. So 48 hours now, I say you're going to forget most of this. Some of you took notes, some of you didn't take notes, but what you need to do now is just implement, and it's really, really simple. There's no rocket science to any of this. I'm actually dyslexic. I'm not the world's brightest button, but what I have done is test and test and test. So if you've got value from what I've shown you today for free, which is just really the tip of the iceberg, then I wouldn't be doing my job if I couldn't give you the opportunity to take it further. So there's nothing for sale at all. But what I do want to do is I want to see what potential we've got here now and see whether that gap you can bridge, whether it's something you can bridge. At the top of the hour, I asked you if you're in any of these niches. If you are in any of those niches and you're still here, then you've got huge opportunity. That gap can be closed really quickly. So those figures you wrote down, again, we're looking at 3, 2, 10, 3, 4, 10, 1, 2, 4, 9, 3. Well, you're looking about the same. Jack, it's a very un-British attitude. Jack, I'm British through and through, but do you know what? I hate the negative attitude. We want can-do people. We want results. Well, we want to think big as well. So this is the thing. When I prepared this presentation, I had two options. Option one is just to give you this and then walk away, and that would be it, and leave you just moving along. But what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to give, and I said at the top of the hour, those who've been the most active, going to give the first 10 of you, and we had 197 registered, as you saw from my lead pages. We're going to have a 10-15 minute chat, and in that 10-15 minute chat we're going to do this. Number one, I want to know the figures you just told me. I want you to tell me those three figures. That's the first thing. The second thing, I want to know what niche you're in, and I'll be up front of you. If I think you're in a niche, if you're not in a niche that you can dominate, in fact you don't even own a niche, they even know what it is, I'll be direct with you and say no, you're wasting your time. You need to be thinking more strategically. And the third thing I'll do, I'll give you the next immediate step you need to take. And it's going to be really, really quick. If you go to that email address, that URL there, you're going to find my online diary. Book yourself a 10-minute call, and there's 7 questions. Once you go through that, there's 7 questions. Fill out the 7 questions. So when we get on the call, my time's precious, yours is precious. Fill out the questions, give me the information, I'll get on the call with you, and I'll be direct. We're not going to talk about our families and our friends, not yet anyway. But I'm going to get on that call, and we're going to spend 10 minutes, and I'm going to just focus purely on what you've told me in those 7 questions. And then on the back of that, you're going to know whether you can do what Charles has done, what Alex has done, what Belinda's done. But what I'm going to do is whatever happens, I'll give you the exact next step you need to do. But for me, there's a selfish thing in it. I get so much understanding about the mindset of my marketplace by these conversations. It's unreal. I think you know that I've got a massive grip on your business. I understand your business. I know how I can grow your business. I've demonstrated that today in Bounds. It's because I've been doing this for a long time. So I actually get from this as well. But what we're going to do is this. We're going to get on to call for 10 minutes. And on that 10 minutes, I'm going to identify those 3 figures you're giving me, what you need to do. I'm going to look at your niche before we get on the course. You can tell me your marketplace. And I'm going to have I've got my own software that looks at marketplaces. We're going to get on the conversation. And I'm going to understand what your marketplace is about before the call. And I'll tell you what you need to do. And if I think I can help you, I'm going to help you. If I can't, I'll be direct. And I'll point you in the right direction to maybe someone else or to a resource or so forth. By the way, I'm not going to point you to one of my products, but what I am going to do is be direct with you. Now, all of you are business owners or senior recruiters, and all of you have a big opportunity. So go to rmi.simplybook.me. So it's rmi.simplybook.me. For those of you who said you can't actually see it, 1 second. What I'll do is I'll see if I can actually do it here. RMI. Jack, answer your question. This here is a members area. So in here we've got templates and all sorts there. If we decide to move forward, I'll give you everything you need to grow your business. Literally copy and paste emails to speak to clients and so forth. But this is the page. So when you come to this page, what I want you to do is this is really important, select your time zone. Because I'm in the UK at the moment, select your time zone. So if you're in the United States, make sure you choose, if it's Pacific, if it's East Coast, etc. Choose your time zone, really important. If you're in Australia, and there's quite a few of them on the call, and bless you for being up so late, or so early, select your time zone underneath. So you understand what I'm saying there. So make sure you choose time zone. So if I'm in Pacific, set your time zone, and you'll see the times will change. So now it's gone to night time. Select the time. Then what I want you to do is fill out these questions. The more information you give me, the more I can help you. And on that call, it's going to just be 10 minutes. 10 minutes, bang, in there. And I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do. No problem. What I'll do, Jake, is I'll paste that in as well. For those of you who are watching it online, you haven't got that, but there you go. That's the link, Jake. I forgot to mention this as well. On that call, what I'm going to do is, before the call, I'm going to look at your website, I'm going to look at your LinkedIn profile, and I'm actually going to look at what your actual online presence is about. So there's a lot to go into it, but that's why you need to give me the information. So for those of you who do that, expect just full content. I won't be being rude, just be direct. No problem, Jake. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the presentation. Let's say, now this isn't for everyone. I mentioned at the top, you need to be in a niche, or at least you want to be in a niche you want to dominate. If you're not, if you're going to get on the call and say, Andy, I want to dominate 100 niches, you're probably not the right person for me. If you get on the call and you don't want to change the way you're doing things, you're not the right person for me. If you want to change the way you're doing business, you want to start creating online lead generation, you want to be the trusted advisor, you want to be the expert, then we might be a fit. But we still won't know until then. So as I promised at the top of the hour, any questions, let me know. What I'll do is do my best to answer them now. Can you give me an example of an SPR email or call? SPR, yes, short, personal, expecting a response. Thanks, Rob. SPR is, we've got, it can be as short as a 9-word email. So it can be as short as 9 words. But what you're doing is you're not. It's really, really impersonal. Let me frame this to you, Rob. When you get an email from your best friend, does he ever say, "Hi, Rob, how you doing"? No, he doesn't. He probably says, "All right," and he gives you a funny name, and then it's like, "What are you up to Saturday?" It's that sort of concept we're looking at. Of course, it's not that exact language, but what you'll do is, if you send out an email using one of our SPR templates, you'll probably get between 10 and 50% responses from candidates and clients. So what you've done is you're engaging. You're not chasing them. They've emailed you back. So that's an SPR email. What's your success rate for people who join the inner circle? Oh, thanks for that, Hayley. I'm glad you brought that up. If I guess what you're saying, how many people do these results happen for? If you follow the actual steps I've laid out to the T, and you test it and you go back, as I said at the top, you will get searches, you will get results. As I said before, I'd go into any industry in the world, give me a blank canvas, no one knowing me, follow the webinar strategy, follow my Maven strategy, follow the 9-box strategy. I know that you could dominate any niche. So the way we work, by the way, Hayley, is we work together, and if there's any problems, money back guarantee type thing. So it's never happened because we do get results, and those who come on board get huge results. But how big you get, Hayley, is up to how much action you want to take. But at the very least, is anyone in your niche doing a Maven webinar? Anyone in your niche sending out SPR emails? Anyone in your niche doing the 9-box framework? I doubt it. Jason. Not sure can I say it out loud, Jason, but sorry to hear about your personal circumstances. But I'll tell you, if you do this, send an email to Emily at recruitmarketinginternational.com, and she'll direct you to something that may help you. If a generalist recruiter, would you strongly recommend going for a niche only? Need to understand more about how generalist you are, Liz. So I need to know more about the actual, remember our pyramid? Industry, channels, roles, low-hanging fruit. Need to know more about the actual, the makeup of your market. So what I would say is, if I was going to start an agency tomorrow, I would go into one niche, and I am certain I could dominate that niche. What I can't do, by the way, and that's why I'm not doing it, I'm rubbish on the phone. I'm absolutely garbage on the phone. So I've never actually used a phone. I did in the old days very, very poorly. So yeah, I'm not made for that. What's the best content to engage with people using a webinar? Do you advise on recruitment strategy or leverage off a key speaker in the industry? Both. What you want is, it depends on your marketplace, Jamie. What's your outcome? So what we want to do is we want to create a 12-month plan, a 90-day plan, a 30-day plan. If your objective is to double your business in 12 months, how are you going to do that? You need placements. How many placements do you need? X amount. Okay, so how do you get those placements? What's your current funnel? Do you need a face-to-face appointment, or can you close on the telephone? So you need to know you're in a national market, international market, or so forth. So the webinar will be driven by your current positioning, the content this is, your current positioning and your marketplace. But remember I said you teach and you sell. So to some degree, you might do 50% recruitment strategy, 50% as a key speaker, or you might do 90-10. But without knowing the marketplace and your exact position, I don't know. But remember, I drew the image of, in fact, what I'll just do quickly is you do this on the webinar. So we've got our 9 boxes that we've gone through, and that forms the content of a webinar. But what you want to do on the webinar, you want to be doing this. So this is teach, this is your sell. Teach and you sell. Now there's a caveat to this, Jamie. You teach and you sell if you've got pre-positioning. If you haven't got pre-positioning, what you need to do is create a schedule. So it would be webinar 1 is going to be content. Webinar 2, you might go for authority. So that's where you bring on board the big names, etc. And you start to get authority through alignment. Webinar 3, now you might teach and sell. Webinar 4 Now you could do a direct sell, and you actually pitch your agency. And from that point on, you might do an alternate between teach and sell and authority. So it depends on your current marketplace. If you've got minimal positioning and you go out and you do a sales webinar, you're going to bomb. If you've got no positioning, I recommend you go out and do an authority webinar, and you bring the biggest names in the world on board, and you just go from starter place to authority in a matter of weeks. As I said, if I had one strategy, I'd use webinars. If I had to be pushed to using just one, I'd use webinars. So it depends on your marketplace. Steve, it's rmi.simplybook.me. I think it works. It was working. Does that work for everyone else? Can anyone else type in the box? Tell me if it worked. If it's worked for you, okay? I think it's working, Steve. If anyone else has typed in, you just let me know. Yeah, we've got Jack, Liz, Steve, Mark, Haley, Rachel, Dave, Colin. There's loads. So it's working. So not sure about that. rmi.simplybook.me. Okay. Any other questions? Okay there. So, Colin, does anyone in your niche have this yet? I don't know. What niche are you in? But what I do know is that this concept of what we do, very few people are actually doing this, and those people who are doing it work with us. But very few people have got this down to a T. What we do have is, this is what happens. Competitors see this. They see on the outside that we've got, it's like an iceberg. So they see on the outside you're doing a webinar, or you're doing one of our lead magnets. So they try and copy you. What they don't see underneath this is the 9 boxes. What they don't see is our Maven process. What they don't see is everything we've got in the inner circle. So, we've got 100 plus trainings in there on. So what your competitors do, so don't worry about that. Your competitors won't see that. Everything, the real magic happens underneath. You can't actually just do a webinar and hope to suddenly get clients. There's a strategy to it. There's a strategy to it. This is why I've turned grey. We've been doing this for years and years and years. So don't worry. When you go out and do this, your competitors won't be able to copy you, because it's what's underneath it that matters. And it's actually funny when you see recruiters trying out and do an event, and they do an event, and it turns into a networking event. They spend hours putting this event on, and in fact they get no leads out of it. They get no business out of it. Alex's entire business is based on a live event schedule. That's all he does, and he's doubled his business in 5 months. He's now going to the gym every day. In 5 months' time, his business probably trebled, quadrupled, because he's using what's underneath here. So don't worry about that. This bit underneath, your competitors won't know about. So don't worry about that. Any other questions? Type in a box. What do we get on the call, Mark? So on the call, Mark, I also want to know, fill out the questions, and I'm going to do some analysis before the call. And on that call, I'm going to give you straight between the eyes, tell you how it is, and tell you what I think you should do. And if I think I can help you, I'll help you. And if I can't help you, then I'll do my best point in the right direction. So it's as simple as that. There's no. This is going to be 10-15 minutes max. But the more information you give me in those questions, the more I can do. And we're only taking on a handful of calls. I think we've got 10 calls, whatever's lined up for next week. So I'm not sure what we've got left for next week now, but I think about 15 10-minute calls are left. So yeah, I look forward to that. Steve, well, I'm not sure what you mean. Will I help with your website? We do help with your website. We don't create it for you, but what I will do is point you in contact with some of the same people we use and we recommend you use, which probably costs about a tenth, but you're free to use who you want. But I'll also give you a template to make sure your website brings on board the most leads. Oh, sorry, you mean lead pages? Yeah, absolutely. If you go onto that call, what I'll do on that call, I'll critique your landing page, and if you send me the link beforehand, I'll give you feedback on your landing page. Of course, I'll do that. So yeah, sorry, put that in the questions. Give me that in the information. What I'll do is I'll give you that feedback. No problem. Ben, yeah, absolutely. You can bring more than one person onto the call. What I want to make sure of those, we've got the right people on the call. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a 10-minute call, and if I think I can help you, what we're going to do is get onto a 45-minute strategy call. On that call, we're going to do 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to fast forward 12 months from now and look at your business. So I want to understand, what do you want in your business? So by that I mean, how are you getting leads? What niche are you dominating? Etc. Then we're going to come back today and we'll look at the assets in your business now. I want to understand the size of your candidate database, your client database, what email system you use, how you use it, how you communicate with the marketplace, have you got a marketing system? So we look at today. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to conceptualize a framework to get from where you are now to where you want to be. And if I think we're a fit, we'll move forward. If we can't, I'll give you the framework, and we move away and we part as friends. So it's completely transparent. But yeah, this first call though is just really quick to see if I can help you. And so if I can't, I'll point you in the right direction. If you want more than one person on the call, no problem. Just let me know in the questions, and we'll have a joint conference. So no problem. Steve, he's run it by a partner. Absolutely cool. Run it by a partner. We've only got 10 slots though, so once they're gone, they're gone. But do what you need to do. Would you advise on using a similar strategy to attract key candidates in our niche? Absolutely. The example I used before was, or one of the examples I think I used, not sure, in fact I might not have done, we've got so many case studies nowadays, was we went through a process and we had, let me just do this, is in the SAP market, so you might know SAP, we had 1,246 candidates register for our client's webinar. Now that sounds like a big number. When you bear in mind that they've been in the industry 12 years and their current candidate database is 4,000. So they'd added a third to their database. In fact, I did tell you that up front in the when I was giving you my background. So this attracts candidates and clients. Now that example was a massive example because I actually was on site helping and guiding in a consultancy fashion on site. So that was spectacular. But you know, even if you aim to get 10% of that, it's 120 new candidates. But yeah, it works like gold dust for candidates as well. So yeah, same principle. Liz, yeah, just go to the same RMI and just book a second one. So book the second time, and then all you need to do, Liz, go and book the second time for double book, and then in there, in this first box, just write in the first box, this is the correct time, Emily, so we know, okay? And I'll make sure Emily looks out for that. Is that okay, Liz? So just go and book your new time, and then after the call, Emily will cancel your first time. Just write in that first box, this is the actual time, and we're golden on that. No problem. Okay. Do I deal with internal recruiters? Yes, we do. We have I consult with companies like Experian, which are multi-billion-pound companies. Yeah, we do deal with internal recruiters. So I like to focus mainly on agency, but we do deal with internal recruiters as well. Stephanie, if you send an email to Emily at recruitmentmarketinginternational.com, and she'll deal with that request. We do on-site consultancy, but speak to Emily and we'll see whether it's a fit or not. First of all, I've cut back a lot on that. We're planning for a family, you see, in January. It's a few months away. I'm getting married in January, and we want to have a family straight away. So I'm actually doing less travel nowadays. It's allowing an hour, is it, Jack? It's saying an hour when I book. That's absolutely right. It's saying for an hour, Jack, yeah. So the call will actually only be 10-15 minutes, but an hour is scheduled just so I can debrief afterwards and update Emily, and she'll update the system. So yeah, but it's only 10-15 minutes. It could prove valuable to hire you to train my team on how to do a webinar. Would you offer this kind of service? Yeah, absolutely, Jamie, all day long. Jamie, if you've not done it already, if you fill out the time, a call. If you fill out a time, we'll have a 10-minute chat. But I can definitely show your team how to create a webinar. In fact, Jamie, if I just open this up for you quickly, you'll be able to see the sort of things we can share with the team. Where was it? So, see this here, Jamie. This has taken probably 10 years of hard labour to get to the point of having these 68 pages. So we've got a framework. So what I'd be looking to do is find out what your objective is. You're trying to sign clients. You're trying to position yourself as an authority. But we've got a framework. So we've got an actual set of steps you go through. So what would happen is I train your team, but then you've also got the templates and so forth to work with. So the actual content of the webinar, how to set up the registration page, how to use lead pages correctly, everything. So this is one element. If I check into our inner circle members area, I'll just show you how much stuff we got on webinars, Jamie, so you can see. But the way we engage, Jamie, we engage one-to-one. We do group work, group coaching. We've got a weekly group, all sorts. So yeah, I'll definitely help you. But you can see here we've got so the 9 steps I was telling you about. We've got the 9 steps webinar process across 3 different trainings. Each one breaks down into a set of different steps, and you can see each training gives you the actual training webinar. We've got a workbook. We've got steps to follow the content. We've got MP3s and all sorts, so everything you need there. But I'll happily work with your team if I think we're a fit, and also give you access to this. This is worth in itself tens of thousands. What we've actually got on here is a product called Candidate Cashflow. This is an awesome product. What it is, it's LinkedIn training for candidates. So it shows your candidate how to have a better profile. And what we do, so you can actually sell this to your candidates. So you can see here we've got a webinar video 1, video 2. And what these are actual trainings for your candidates. And what you can do, you can give away to your candidate database, which gives you massive authority and call points. But it's a training I did that sold around America in Time Out magazine. It shows candidates how to have a better profile. So if we choose to work together, you'll have access to all this, all the tools as well, and templates, Jamie. So yeah, if you book a time, Jamie, we'll speak, and I'll look what we can do for your team. But for all of you on the call, webinars are huge thing to do. Thanks, Jack, for your lovely words. Thanks. Wow, just had a look on my phone. I've got loads of you. I'm looking forward to that. Lots of new names as well, which is awesome. Yeah, so Jamie, if you just register and simply book me, I'll have a 10-minute chat, give me an overview of your company and your objectives and so forth, and we'll have a call. Is it guaranteed to work? What you've shown us? It's at the top of the hour. If you follow the steps, it's worked every time. When it's not worked, people have deviated from the steps. So I will put a caveat around that. If you do a bit of the things, so if you don't follow the steps, then you've got less. It's like anything. It's like trying to fix a car engine. You follow the steps of half of it. But again, I've sweated blood and tears doing this. Mike Walmsley and Roy Ripper don't endorse many people, so they've seen firsthand. So yeah, it works. So no problem with that. My website, okay, no worries, Tom. Website is recruitmentmarketinginternational.com. So you can find us out there. We're actually just changing a few few bits and pieces on there. So next week or two, we've got some really exciting stuff coming up on there. But that's the website, recruitmentmarketinginternational.com.
Hello there, and welcome to this advanced digital LinkedIn training for job seekers, professionals, and contractors. In the next 90 minutes, I'm going to show.
So that's the training that you can give away to your consultants, to your candidates. So it's a LinkedIn training. It shows them how to have an outstanding profile. And again, everything we do is with case studies. We use a case study from someone called Nicole. As you see, we show you what to do on your profile, what to write, what don't to write. And it's some of our members of the Inner Circle, they sell this to their candidates for $197 a time. So you sell 5 copies, it's $1,000. So if you've got a candidate database, it's really cool. And there's workbooks and so forth. Caught me a bit unawares there. So that's a candidate program. Didn't mean to actually have that come on. Taylor, it's just all I need for my marketing and business development. In short, if you apply what I'm showing you, Charles, Alex, Belinda, I could give you another 4 or 5 hours of case studies just in the last couple of months. Yes, it is. You don't need a dozen social media channels. You don't need overwhelm. You need one system that works. Get that done right, scale up. Now, what we also show you what to do, for example, is Facebook marketing. But that will come after you're getting leverage. What we want to do is create a 12-month plan, a 90-day plan, a 30-day plan. End of 30 days, we want you out in the marketplace in a big way. 90 days, we want your lead generation, whether it be webinars, whether it be lead magnets, podcasts, whatever we choose it to be for your marketplace. 90 days, we want you flying. But yes, this is the primary tool, the primary strategy. I guarantee, and it comes from a place of pride more than anything. This has literally changed businesses, and I genuinely believe you'll be able to tell. Not sure if James is still on the call, but he was mentioning about other people who've used the LinkedIn program. But that's just one small element of what we do. But these strategies is the future of recruitment, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay. Thanks for that, Hayley. Thanks for that, Mark. I look forward to speaking to you. Liz, looking forward to speaking to you. Jennifer, looking forward to speaking to you. Joe, looking forward to speaking to you. Michael also, and Jack, and John, and Matthew, and Derek. Another John. Who we mentioned just now? Jamie, we've not. Jamie, if you get on there, no worries. Liz, looking forward to speaking to you. Mason, awesome. Also cool name, by the way. So we're planning to have kids very soon, and you wouldn't believe the amount of conversation you have over kids' names. It's crazy. Thanks for that, Venetia. Thanks for that, Jet. Thanks. Charles Wilson. That's a name from the past. Good to have you on here. Look forward to that, Hayley. No problem. Right, any other questions? Type in the box. I'm conscious of being way over time. And what I'm going to do is look forward to speaking to you on Monday. For all of you whose names I've not mentioned, I'm so sorry. We had 170 odd register, and we had I think about 120 of you were on the call at the beginning, so I'm sorry for not mentioning all of your names. No problem, Rob. Rob, waiting for that email from you. Send me this email saying what you got from that session on Wednesday. Send me a quick email. Be good to know. I'm liking to keep up to date. Tell me what you got from the session. Tell me what you got from the session today as well. Be good to know. Thanks for that, James. Look forward to speaking to you on Monday. Simon, is it really that simple? It's as simple as you want to make it. If you can overcomplicate things. So all you need to do, Simon, is listen. If I show you again some of the things we got, we've actually got a template here that tells you what to do. So hi, name, just for reading your bio, etc. So you've actually got, it's there for you. You don't need to be thinking these things through. We've, you know, in our inner circle, this email was responsible for $115,000 worth of fees in its first 2 meetings, because what it did, it pre-positioned the person who used it as a leader. And we've used it time and time again now. We've tested it, and it's the most, it converts well. So we got workbooks. So with the webinar, you don't need to think these things through. You just need to follow. Where did our workbook go? It's gone now. There we go. So you just need to fill in the blanks. So we're giving you the steps to follow. But what we'll do is we engage in a one-to-one fashion, we engage in a group fashion. But the reason why we get such good results is because we're careful about who we work with. So I just want you to take action and get results, but this is so doable. So doable. You're all sitting on an absolute huge opportunity. Just do the opposite from the herd. So hopefully that answers that. Ray, what are the... Okay, Ray, the 27 steps, it's actually 27 points are here. So everything we do with frameworks and step by step. So this is a checklist. So this isn't actually the framework. This isn't the 9 boxes. That's different. If you look on the right hand side, the stretch, and it says create conversion content, that there drives down into the 9 boxes. So the 9 boxes, in fact, is that 1 box. So you can see how it all fits together. It's almost like we know what we're doing. So that's a checklist. That's a checklist for you and your staff. Do these techniques work when applied to international clients? We almost exclusively deal with clients in the Middle East. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not about international, it's not about national, it's not about local. It's about your niche, your marketplace, and that's what drives it. So going back to our pyramid. On that call, Jack, on that call, make sure you come to that call knowing your pyramid. Knowing the industry, the main channels, the primary roles, and then we can look at what we do from there. But yeah, this works in international markets. Wonderful. Oliver, thanks for the telephone number. I'm not actually, I don't call, I'm not going to be calling you because if you want to speak, book a time, but thanks for the telephone number. I just think it's the best thing to do. Your time is precious, my time is precious. If you book a time in the in that system, we'll send you an automated update. We'll send you a 2 or 3 reminders, or maybe 1 or 2 reminders. I don't remember what the system does now, but everyone's golden then, and it updates my calendar and so forth. So if you book in there, then we're both good. So I think that's probably the most structured way to do it. So that's the way we want to work with structure. Stephanie, how long does it take for my firm to differentiate itself? It depends where you are now, my love. It depends where you want to go to. So if you give me that the before and after, I'll have a really good idea. No problem. Jennifer, are you still on the line, Jennifer? Let's see if Jennifer's still here. She is. Jennifer, if you're still here, type in the box. I've got a few computers open. I've just seen your email. So you're actually in 2 awesome niches there, Jennifer. So I won't read out what they are, but you're actually in 2 awesome niches. So I think you've got a big opportunity. That first niche is, well, ultra niched. Ultra niched. You could do some things with that. So that's exciting. So yeah, Jennifer, if you're still on the line, we'll speak. Taylor, can I show you how to do webinars myself? Do you mean do it yourself, or do you want me to do it for you? We actually don't do it for you, but I can certainly show you how to do what Charles has done, no problem. Peter, it depends how we engage and what you actually want. So once we work together, I'll let you know what I think the best process is, and if I think we're a good fit, and if I think I can help you. And the reason why we get such high success rates is because we only work with those who we think we can genuinely help and get big results. No problem. Okay, well, I've gone way over time today. I've got a puppy to go and have a few words with. So any other questions, type in the box now. Or any other comments, type in the box now. Thanks, Queenie. Look forward to speaking to you. Tom, we're in the UK. We're in, well, a combination of central London and also the middle of nowhere, Wales, which is west of England. Beautiful place. Very dark at the minute, but yeah, so we're in the UK. I should have been in San Francisco this weekend, actually, so I do travel, so I may well be doing an event in the States, but at the minute it's non-planned. Gary, thank you. Awesome. Well, what I'm going to do is this, no problem. Wiley, okay, no problem. Listen, if I can't help you, I'll be direct with you. I will be direct with you, so don't worry about that. So listen, any other questions, type in the box now. Take care of yourself, everybody. I've really enjoyed the interaction. You've been an awesome bunch, So we've got a global audience. Thanks to those of you in Australia. Thanks to those who are in the United States. There's a lot of you there, and we've got quite a few in the UK. We've got more from overseas though. But with that said, I'm going to wrap up now unless there's any last minute questions, and I'm going to enjoy telling my puppy off, and looking forward to speaking to you all next week. So I had an awesome session with you today. Thanks for the feedback, thanks for the comments. With that said, take care, speak to you all very soon. Sorry Jamie, there you go Jamie, my apologies. It's rmi.simplybook.me. No problem. Okay, wonderful. Well, that's it, everybody. I'm going to sign off. Thanks for your feedback, and I'll speak to you all next week. Oh, last question. Where to recommend spending most energy across events, webinar, email, blogging, and website? Depends on your niche and your marketplace, Jamie. Before the session, when we have a chat next week, focus on what your objective is for the business. So whether it's doubling the business, etc. What does that equate to in terms of actual metrics? So what does it mean in terms of fees? So how many placements do you need? Then of those placements, how many face-to-face appointments do you need to actually fulfill those placements? Then what precedes that face-to-face typically? Is it a telephone call? Is it any other format? From that, we can look at the best and the most direct route. So without knowing your marketplace, Jamie, I don't know. So it could be events, it could be webinars, email. Just so you know, emails are part of the communication process and the channels we use for both events and webinars. Blogging helps, but it's not going to double your business in 12 months. Webinars and events will, if they're done the correct way. You can host a dozen events and get no leads or minimal leads from it. But emails and blogging just by themselves won't double your business. But webinars and events plus another 6 ways will double your business. Website, is absolutely key. So your website, if you go to my website, for example, it's actually, just quickly do this. My key driver is to bring the right person into my business. So the right person into my business is a hungry, ambitious agency recruiter. So the big driver is I want to send an agency hungry recruiter to my training about becoming $1 million recruiter. So that's the key thing. Most recruitment websites are absolute garbage. They've got no lead generation capability. They speak to the wrong audience, and they look like 99.9% of other recruitment websites. So what we'll do, Jamie, is we'll have that conversation on our call and see what we need to do. So if you in the questions, if you've not done it already, Jamie, just send me a quick email with your website address. I get about 200 emails a day, so if you do that, send it to this. I'll get it then. I shouldn't really be giving you this, but I want to make sure I get it. Send an email to innercircle@recruitmentmarketinginternational.com. That's a private member's email address, but I just wanted it because I'll get it for the call, international.com. And what I'll do, Jamie, is I'll look at your website before the call. So I'll send that to you privately. There you go, Jamie. So some of your URL, I'll have a look and have a quick pricing for our conversation. Okay, so any other questions? Type in the box now. No worries, Steve. No worries, Mark. Not sure who UQ is, but thank you. Thanks, Taylor. Thanks. Awesome. Look forward to speaking to you as well, Mady. Brilliant. Wonderful. With that said, just double check, Jamie, did you get that email address before I sign off? Awesome. Good stuff. Right, it's been an awesome audience. I've really enjoyed this evening, the two-way conversations, and just take action, guys. It's there for the taking. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.